Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and blessings also to the hopefully elect tabernacle of David. So back again with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And this is a lesson going into the iniquity of Esau, Edom, being revealed. We're living in a time right now where the Lord, as it is written, that the Lord will pour out his spirit upon all flesh. So right now there's a heavy inquisition, a heavy disdain, a heavy resentment towards the so-called white man within the earth. All right, what do you think is going on geopolitically with all these nations joining the BRICS? Because they're against, really it's Amalek, because Amalek pretty much runs the Western world. See, because they have all the money, the resources, the power, all right, to fund whichever side that they want to in any particular conflict. They can fund anybody that they want. So with that comes power and influence. See, just like you look at Biden right now in the White House and his cabinet, they're pretty much openly doing the willing or the will of the elites of Amalek, the so-called JOO people. See, so right now there's a shameful spewing that's going on the legacy of the so-called white man. See, his history is being put front and center. All of the atrocities that he's committed is now being brought up to be scrutinized and reviewed. And what's happening is that he's being found to be a hypocrite. Okay, that's why you have nations such as China, Japan, North Korea, even South Korea. See, and many other nations that are joining the BRICS, even the EU. See, even they're waking up to the fact that this kingdom is pretty much coming to an end. All right, the time of the so-called white man to rule is coming to an end. And the Lord has a spirit on even other Edomites to bring out the atrocities of their own people. The scriptures say that basically their own tongue shall fall upon themselves. All right, so basically you're gonna have other Edomites bringing out the sins and iniquity of their own people. You see, and that's all because now they've realized that, damn, we've gone too far. We've done too much evil. That's why America is falling. That's why everyone is coming against America and NATO and the EU. See, it's time for these Edomites to go down. But before they go down, the Lord must make it known why they're going to be taken down. And it's not because of the color of their skin, because one thing that we teach is that not all so-called white people that have pale skin are necessarily Edomites. See, it's more so the spirit, although color is a big indicator, what I'm saying, but that's why you have to really get down to the root of it. Find out where an individual where their patrilineal line goes back to. And if your patrilineal line, which means the line through your father's seed, goes back to Esau, then you're an Edomite. All right. You even have a lot of so-called black people, dark-skinned people that their line goes back to Esau. So it's not necessarily skin color, but it just so happens the majority of Edomites happen to have pale skin. That's just what it is. That curse of leprosy. But this is a video here by James Clue. Is it okay to be white? So he's basically going on around on the streets asking people, is it okay to be white? And this was actually a survey in which they asked a group of Americans, both black and white, different races, is it okay to be white? Now, this is a 15-minute video. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're just going to watch certain portions of it and get the edification. But that resentment towards the so-called white man, it is growing. All right, and you have a lot of people that's speaking out against America, against the rulership of Esau, against his wicked laws. You see, and hey, ultimately, civil war is coming to America. You see what's going on in France or overseas, over there in Europe and different parts of the world, man. Hey, civil war is coming to America. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch a little bit of this. I also have a short clip and a video, article as well that we're going to jump into to get the history on certain things to, better clarify and edify what this whole white thing is about. So without further ado, let's check this out.
Los Angeles, and we're going to be finding out if people think it is okay to be white. Now, before we get started, only about 14% of you guys watching these videos are subscribed to the channel, so if you could take a quick second and hit that subscribe button down below, I'd greatly appreciate it. Let's go talk to some people. Huge shout out to our friends over at iTarget for sponsoring this video. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? It is okay to be white.
No, that's not okay. It's terrible to be white.
No.
No comment.
Yes, it's okay to be white.
Really don't care.
Yeah, it's okay to be any color.
It is okay to be white.
Disagree.
You disagree?
Yes. I mean, that was a hell of a question.
Yeah, because it's okay to be black. It's okay to be orange. It's okay to be pink.
I don't even think that should.
Now hold on. See what she just said. Let me go back a little bit.
It is okay to be white.
Disagree.
You disagree?
Yes. I mean, that was a hell of a question.
Yeah, because it's okay to be black. It's okay to be orange. It's okay to be pink.
So she just said, in her ignorance, she said, yeah, it's okay to be white because it's okay to be black. It's okay to be orange. It's okay to be pink. Now, last time I checked, I've never seen a white person. I've never seen somebody the color of a white t-shirt. I've never seen a person the color of a black t-shirt or a black crayon. I've never seen anyone that's orange or pink. So, everything that she just named as being okay, it's not real. See, white and black, that's a social construct. No one on this earth is white or black. That's why when we reference the so-called white man or the Edomite, we say so-called or self-proclaimed, because that's what he labeled himself. See, and black is what he labeled the Israelites. But all of this goes back to pseudoscience and getting into certain positive or negative connotations depending on whichever social construct that you're referring to. When you look up the word black in the dictionary, it goes into darkness, void of light, undesirable. See, when you go into white, the definition will give you angelic, good, wholesome, clean, right? So these are social constructs that do not pertain to nationalities of people upon the earth. Simple as that. Because when a woman can say that, yeah, it's okay to be white, it's okay to be black, it's okay to be orange and pink. See, that's when you start getting into the folly of these certain terms that really are just made up. See, we stick with what the Bible says. See, the Bible deals with nationalities of people. Now, the question on this video is it okay to be white? And the real answer is no, it's not okay to be white. It's not okay to be black. It's not okay to be yellow. It's not okay to be pink or orange. It's not okay to be any of that. Now, why? Why? Because it's made up. It's not real. It's just something that the powers that be, the so-called white man, right, or the Edomite, they created these things to further divide and keep people bickering over really nonsense. See, now this whole concept of white and black, right? This whole concept did not exist in ancient times. This is a fairly new construct, all right? And really, it goes back, have this here, historical foundations of race. The term race, used infrequently before the 1500s, was used to identify groups of people with a kinship or group connection. The modern day use of the term race is a human invention. Okay, so it's pretty much just made up, right? These things were not used in antiquity. There was no black, there was no white. You were known by the nation that you came from. All right, so prior to a certain point, which really came about in the 1600s, if you were a so-called white man from England, then you were English. See, there was no such thing as white. You see, because before this what do you call it? This umbrella blanket term of white came into existence, people were more focused on their particular tribe, if you will, right? So the Englishman, he did not identify with someone from Scotland or someone from Ireland, and it's still like that to this day. You see, because you can say that, oh, white, but when you go to these different parts of the earth and you go to certain nations, there is no uniform homogenous acceptance of this term white. Really, that's only a thing in America. You know what I'm saying? Because of, well, we'll get into it. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but you know, all of this is a new construct, a new invention. See, that's why I say it's a human invention. It's not really real, you know. So let's go down. So here it says the word white held a different meaning too and transformed over time. Before the mid 1600s, there is no evidence that the English referred to themselves as being white people. See, so before the mid 1600s, was what happened in the mid 1600s. There was a thing, a rebellion that took place in the English colony of Jamestown called the Bacon's Rebellion. And we're gonna get into it, but that was pretty much when um, this whole white term came about and began to be put into use, and we'll get the reason why. But it says here, this concept did not occur until 1613 when the English society first encountered and contrasted themselves against the East Indians through their colonial pursuits. Even then, there was not a large body of people who considered themselves white, as we know the term today. From about the 1550s to 1600, white was exclusively used to describe elite English women. You see, so even then, if the term white was used, it wasn't to refer to all of white society as a whole. It really only dealt with the elite. You see? So everybody else that you see, they were divided into certain classes. Either you were a peasant or you were a nobleman, which meant that you had land, you had possessions. You see, you had the lord, then you had the king. You know what I'm saying, which were the top of the hierarchy. You know what I'm saying, but it only referred that term white only referred to the elite. So if you wanted to be white, you had to be a king or a lord. If you were below that level, you weren't considered to be white. You were pretty much white trash, as they would say today. You know, it said because the whiteness of skin signaled that they were persons of a high social class who did not go outside to labor. Right. So, you know what I'm saying? Blue collar people. Okay, people that didn't work. They had people working for them. You see, the poor people, they had to work, so therefore you weren't white because you were out in the sun. Your skin was a little bit darker from being in contact with the sun so much. So in that instance, you were looked down upon. So even in English society, You see, there was no uniformity of white. It was only directed to certain classes of people. However, the term did not refer to elite Englishmen because the idea that men did not leave their homes to work could signal that they were lazy, sick, or unproductive. Initially, the racial identity of white referred only to Anglo-Saxon people and has changed due to time and geography. So the term white, and that's still the same to this day, because that's the original. If only if you were an Anglo-Saxon, meaning that you were of English origin or descent, right? Everyone else outside of the Anglo-Saxon, you are not considered white. All right, that's why even in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, when there were mass waves of European immigrants coming over to the Americas, guess what? The Irish, they were not considered white people. You see, the Irish were not considered white. The Italians, they were not considered white. People from Greece, people from certain parts of Germany, they were not considered white because they were not Anglo-Saxon. You see, it says also, as the concept of being white evolved, the number of people considered white would grow as people wanted to push back against the increasing numbers of people of color due to emancipation and immigration, which is a conspiracy against who? Is a conspiracy against Jake, the Israelites. All right. Activist Paul Kivel says whiteness is a constantly shifting boundary separating those who are entitled to have certain privileges from those whose exploitation and vulnerability to violence is justified by their not being white. Okay, no. Let's go here. All right, the colonial roots of racism, part 2. Bacon's Rebellion. Now, I referenced Bacon's Rebellion earlier. Okay, because this is really the pivotal point into where race and this whole white and black really came into what we see it as today. All right, so basically, just a quick backdrop on this, the Bacon's Rebellion. There was a rich landowner that was over there in Jamestown, Virginia, by the name of William Blakely or something like that. And basically, long story short, a lot of indentured servants were coming over to the Americas to get, to eventually get land. But in order to get the land, you had to work for 7 years. All right, you had to work for 7 years, which that goes back to the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? You had to work for 7 years, and then after your 7 years, you would be released from involuntary servitude, and then you would be given land in which you could start your family and start a new life. All right, because then your indentured servitude would have been fulfilled. See, but what ended up happening was the elites, William Blakely and his cohorts, you see, they were pretty much taking up all of the good land that was in the colony. See, and the indentured servants, they were made to live on the worst land out there in the frontier that wasn't developed. They were surrounded by the natives. You know what I'm saying? So there came a point to where they began to push back against the elites. And it was Israelites. Okay, you had Israelites, Native Americans, Jake, you know what I'm saying? So-called native, so-called black people come together with the poor Edomites, and they came against the elites in Jamestown because of the oppressive conditions. So it got to that point where it was basically the poor against the rich. So after that, they pretty much said, "Oh no, we can't have this. You see, we can't have the poor of our people unified with these savages. You see, so therefore we need to make this white construct even more profound now, because then we can divide them. See, now we can do our evil and wickedness, and they'll be so caught up in this white and black, and dividing over, what race is better and this, that, the third. When we're getting all the money, we're taking up all the land, we're keeping them, we're destroying their minds. So we win at the end of the day. This is the thoughts of the elites. All right, so I'm gonna just get into it a little bit here in this video so you can see how all of this led up and eventually, white supremacy was established. Let's see.
Meant Christianizing them, wouldn't Christianizing Africans make them ineligible for slave status? Could Christians enslave other Christians? To address that dilemma, Virginia decreed in a 1667 law that conversion to Christianity doesn't alter one's status of bondage. Since African arrival in 1619, the laws that separated black and white were gradually enacted in such a way as to make the words white, Christian, and free practically synonymous, while blackness became synonymous with slave status. But there was one event that accelerated that trend. Poor folks on the frontier had a rough go of it. Not only were they excluded from the best land near the coast, but their presence on the frontier forced them into conflict with the indigenous population.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is...
In 1676, Nathaniel Bacon approached the British-appointed governor of Virginia, Lord William Berkeley, and requested an army commission so that he and the frontier folk could deal with the Native American problem themselves. Fresh off of a costly war with Metacom, who led an indigenous resistance against English settlement into Algonquin land, Lord Berkeley was reluctant to be drawn into another conflict with the Native Americans. He was also understandably reticent.
And one of the things that he didn't mention was that William Berkeley, he didn't really want to get into a conflict with Jake because they had he was a businessman, so he had good relations in trading furs with the so-called natives, so he didn't want to mess that up because they had made a treaty that they would pretty much stay within the territory of Jamestown. Right, but they wouldn't expand any further west into the native territory. So then, Nathaniel Bacon come along with his supporters, and they're like, "Nah, man, look, we need more land because if William Berkeley won't give us land, even after we complete our indentured servitude, then we're gonna take it." You see, so they were prepared to come in by force and take over the native land. You see, but really, this all goes back to the wickedness and covetousness of Esau Edom. All right, because the scriptures clearly tell you that when a man completes his indentured servitude, that he should be dealt with a certain way. All right, whatever that man labored for, he should receive that after he has served his term of indenture. See, but Esau is so damn wicked, man, and so covetous that he even denied those that perform service for him land. You see, he still denied them land even after that. So this is why this whole rebellion came about, to forcibly overthrow the elite power structure in Jamestown at that time. Let's continue.
About arming a group of unruly whites and blacks on the Virginia frontier. Instead of sending help, Lord Berkeley resolved to fortify a chain of forts protecting the colonial elite in Jamestown, a solution that provided little comfort to those out on the frontier. So the frontiersmen, black and white, rallied behind Bacon. When Nathaniel Bacon boldly proclaimed liberty to all servants and Negroes, Berkeley declared Bacon a rebel, and Bacon's rebellion was on. The rebels marched on to Jamestown, captured it, pillaged the estates of the pro-Berkeley elite, and burned Jamestown to the ground. By the time an English force arrived to crush the revolt, Bacon himself had died of dysentery, and his army of indentured and former servants, along with runaway slaves, was already falling apart. Bacon's rebellion led to tighter British control of the colony. It may have also hastened the movement toward a labor system based on black slavery. Some historians argue that the Virginia planters, fearing another insurrection by former white servants, affixed their gaze more exclusively to Africa for laborers and sought to divide blacks and whites by creating an artificial color line.
And like I mentioned before, black and white was created for the purpose of division. You see, because when you have two poor people, they live in the same conditions, they live the same experience, and they have the same gripes. They they have um, the same complaints. Guess what? They're going to come together 9 times out of 10, whether they white or so-called black, against whoever is oppressing them. You see, so William Berkeley realized this, and this is when this blanket umbrella term of white came about. All right, so it didn't matter at that point if you were from Ireland, or if you were an Edomite from Scotland, or if you were an Edomite from France or Spain. Now we're all white, right? Now we are all the same against these people of color, so-called people of color, right? Really the Israelites. See? So now, being a white man, now you can potentially have the same economic freedom as the white elites, because now we look alike and we're under the same banner of white. There is no more division between so-called white people. Now we're all together against everyone else. See? And this is why even now to this day, you have a lot of Edomites that are against the elites. You see? Because they realize that this whole system is really just BS, man. You see, but they're only complaining now because they're no longer receiving the benefits that they were used to in the past. See, because when so-called whites could get good housing, they could go to the bank and get good loans to start businesses. Their life was relatively, stress-free. You know, they pretty much had all the wealth. Now that's not the case anymore. See, now the middle class is being stripped. Now there's a clear divide between the poor and the rich. Really, there is no more middle class. You know. So what? These are the same conditions of Bacon's rebellion. You had the poor, and then you had the elites. So what's happening now is that the poor are resenting the elites because they see that those that are in power have all of the resources and pretty much hoarding everything unto themselves and giving the poor people nothing. See, this always leads to rebellion, man. When you have a middle class, you can kind of mitigate the frustration because you can just say to the poor people, well, hey, look, if you just work hard, you can be middle class. You know what I'm saying? If you just be a law-abiding citizen and just play by the rules, you can be somewhat wealthy, somewhat prosperous, right? But when you strip the middle class away, there's a huge gap. The poor people don't have anything to look at to say, well, I can at least attain that. Nah, now you looking at Bill Gates and what's his name, Jeff Bezos. You looking at people like that, which there's no way that you can get there. You see, for a poor person, there's no way that you can look at Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates thinking that you can make it to that level, man. It's not realistic. So once again, these are the breeding grounds for rebellion that are coming back in the spirits of these Americans, these Babylonians. See? Let's continue.
This is the moment when race and racism radically altered the system of forced labor that had been practiced by human civilization for thousands of years by injecting race into the equation. Did Bacon's rebellion hasten the establishment of a racialized labor system based on black labor? Let's review the evidence. It's clear that the colonial elite were deeply concerned about the potential for blacks and poor whites to join forces. While the trend towards making slave status exclusive to blacks began before Bacon's rebellion, there does seem to be a clustering of those efforts in the 1660s through the early 1700s. That trend can be seen even in the rebellion itself. In 1680, Virginia legislators pardoned only the white rebels. Additionally, African Americans caught in the commission of a crime were committed to slavery for life, while indentured servants simply had years added to their term. Slave status became based on the status of the mother, an odd development in a patrilineal society, but it also marks a turn towards perpetual slavery in which slavery is passed down from generation to generation. By 1691, there were also laws against abominable mixture or miscegenation. At the same time, while slave status was based on the status of a mother, there was an actual economic incentive for white slave owners to rape black slave women. A dirty little...
And once again, that's complete hypocrisy, man. See, that's the wickedness of E. Here it is, Esau is, passed laws on the books that's against abominable mixture, right? As Esau refers to it as. But yet, the slave master could go in unto the slave woman with no issue. That was legal. That wasn't considered an abominable mixture. You see that? But it only applied towards Israelite men and Edomite women. See, because at that time there was already a shortage of Edomite women in the colonies, and they won't bring this out as well. But actually, back then, the Edomite women preferred to be with the Israelite men. See, they were getting with natives, they were getting with so-called African slaves. You know what I'm saying? The Edomite women that were there, they were preferring to be with Jake. You see, and as poor as Jake was, the Edomite women were still choosing to be with the Israelite man. All right, and this is eventually why they started passing laws on the books. You see, to where that was outlawed. You see, but at the very beginning, that was pretty much legal. You know what I'm saying? They just made these laws as they went along. You see, but that just shows you that Esau is truly the base man of the earth, because not even when you have money, you see, not even when you have money do women want you, man. You see, Jake in his poorest state still has the most sex appeal out of any man on the planet. You see, hey, so you Edomites are through, man. All right, you're finished. See, you had a good run. You was able to live it up, oppress the Israelites, see, but now the Most High is bringing your recompense back upon you. See? Let's continue.
Secret about slavery that was a common experience for black women. In 1705, the Virginia legislature also denied blacks the ability to hold office. Simultaneously, we see a deliberate effort to emphasize a color line between blacks and poor whites, elevating the stats of poor whites just enough to keep the giddy multitude at bay and create an artificial incentive for poor whites to protect status, which was only slightly better than that of black slave.
And see, and that's that white umbrella that I brought out before. That's that whiteness, man. You see, as long as, I forget who made this quote, I believe it was Martin Luther King. But he said, as long as the poorest white believes that he's better than the best black, then that's good enough for him. You see, so in other words, you don't really have to have the resources and the status of the elites, but as long as you have more than the average Israelite, or you're on a higher level than they are financially, then that's good enough. You see, that's good enough for them. So that white umbrella that gave these poor Edomites that sense of pride. See, it really made them feel like they were part of the power structure, even though they weren't. See, they were really just all pawns in the elites game anyway. See, the elites used them to divide the rich from the poor. You see, that's really all it was, man. And that just shows you even more that Esau is the master of deception. You see, because that was a very well thought out plan by the elite Edomites, you see, to cause that division. All right.
As Ibram X. Kendi also notes, Virginia lawmakers made slave patrols compulsory for non-slave-holding whites. Those groups of white citizens were charged with policing slaves, enforcing discipline, and guarding the routes of escape. Step by step, the words English, Christian, white, and free became nearly synonymous in the minds of white colonizers. It also became synonymous in the minds of poor whites, even in the face of their own oppression. As poor whites cast their lot with the colonial elite, let's not forget that in many places until the 1830s, property qualifications excluded many poor whites from voting. By 1860, only about a quarter of Southern families owned slaves. Yet during the Civil War, a war openly premised on protecting and extending slavery, the Confederacy instituted a policy that exempted anyone who owned 20 or more slaves from service in the military.
You see, so basically, the elite Edomites, they gave the lower level Edomites just enough that they wouldn't seek to rebel against them. See? They gave them just enough. Really, they still didn't have shit, but they just gave them just enough to where they can feel like they're better than Jake, which was the slave. See? So this is all divide and conquer tactics. You see this whole black and white thing. See? Now let's go back to this video here. Now, if the real question was, is it okay to be an Edomite? You see, because there's really only but so far that you can go with, is it okay to be white? Because what does it really mean to be white? But if the question was changed to, is it okay to be an Edomite, then that opens up a whole other realm. You see, that opens up a whole other line of questioning. You see, that opens up a whole other line of thought and reason. You see, because then you have to get into, well, what's the history of the Edomites? Who are the Edomites? See, you got to go into prophecy, you got to go into secular history, and all of that. So this whole white thing, a lot of people are realizing that it's all BS. It's really, just used as these subversion tactic to divide the lower level Edomites against Jake. Really, it's really all comes down to the rich against the poor. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue with this video a little bit, then we can get some precepts and close out.
I don't even think that should have to be a question. We live in a really odd time where we have to ask that question,
No,
Y'all got too much. Yeah, y'all got
who
too much
want to be
leeway.
white? That's awful.
No.
Okay, so why is that? Why is it not okay to be white?
Y'all have the race as a people. Y'all have done too much. I would
As a
rather,
people?
yeah, as a whole.
Now, see, she's in the right spirit. She said, as a nation or a race of people, y'all have done too much evil, basically. See? So again, when we go back to the topic of the Edomite and the judgment that's coming to the Edomites, it has nothing to do with the way that you look. Because like I said earlier, just because you're, this guy could be an Israelite, he could be. But not necessarily everyone that looks like this will be considered to be an Edomite. It all goes back to who your father is, and if your line goes back to Esau through your father, then you're an Edomite, But she said, yeah, like y'all have just done too much as a nation of people, you see, and really that's the vibration that we push. See, it's not about skin color or white and black. No, this is about righteous judgment. You see, and the deeds of the Edomite must be recompensed, man, because it's not like they just did these things hundreds of years ago. They're still oppressing Jake to this very day. Still to this very day, man. They still got laws on the books and wicked practices that still undermine Jake. You see, Jake can't even get decent housing because of redlining, certain banks won't lend to Jake, what I'm saying, no matter how noble the pursuit. You see, this whole system is against the Israelite. What I'm saying, was really built against the Israelite to succeed. Look at Black Wall Street. Look at all of the drowned towns. You see, they tell Jake, oh yeah, well, you're just lazy. You're not smart enough to do for yourself. You have to depend on the white man. Well, Jake proved otherwise. Straight out of slavery too. Straight out of slavery, Jake built prosperous towns all across America. But where are they now? They were all destroyed by the Edomite power structure, to the point where now all of that generation of wealth that could have been passed down through the generations, all of that disappeared overnight when these towns were destroyed. You see, and that's why Jake is living in the hood now. That's why Jake is in the ghetto now. Not because Jake wanted to be there, but because they were forced to be. See, and really, we already know it all goes back to the curses, but Esau is not exempt, man. Okay, Esau is not getting let off the hook just because Jacob's under curses, because you still took it too far. You still forwarded the affliction when you shouldn't have done
And it's a group of people.
Too much good or too much bad?
Too much bad. The majority is not. Is like bottom of the barrel, really.
Really?
Yeah.
And why do you disagree with that?
It's the whole privilege thing. It's just, time to give it to other people.
It is okay to be white.
Are you guys white? I'm white, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you guys are here. Why is asking the question? I don't
But
care
no.
to be myself.
No, but at the end of the day, yeah, it is. It is okay to be like.
you, dog. What are your guys' thoughts about people that are responding to that saying they disagree with that, saying no?
When the people say it like that is, I don't know.
I think they racist when they say that.
Yeah.
And you gotta live and let live, you know? I think it's better with white and chocolate and, I think it makes our world, we all
Everybody
different flavors. Just like
The black woman, man. See
Ice cream.
now,
Which
I'm pretty sure that she's well aware of the history of how this country was founded, but she's really just speaking from pure emotion. You know what I'm saying? Because she's going into, I think it's better than white and chocolate, this and that, the third. If you feel that way, that's cool, but let's not forget the treacherous history of how this place was founded. That's really what goes, what this question goes into. Is it okay to be white? And the fact that this is a question, once again, shows you that there's a spirit in the earth that is bringing up the sins of Edom. All right, this man's sins are being put front and center.
I think it's better with white and chocolate and, I think it makes our world, we all
Everybody
different flavors. Just like ice cream.
what should white people do about that?
There's not
Like,
much
what
y'all can do, but just gotta deal with it.
What should I do about that, do you think?
Try not to be white.
Gerard.
That's all you could do at this point.
Is it okay to be Asian?
Nah, you don't want to be them either.
See, now this sister here is in the right spirit. I wouldn't even be surprised if she watches the Israelites. Because she's just like, hey, you ain't an Israelite, then you through, pretty much. And hey, the crazy thing about it is, yeah, it's okay to be so-called white now. Yeah, it's okay to be white right now because you have the benefits. You see, your kingdom for the moment is still intact. You still have the riches of the earth. You still have the military might. You still have power over the Israelites. But guess what? When the Lord Yahushua, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, returns, guess what? You ain't gonna want to be no damn Edomite. You gonna wish that you wasn't an Edomite, because why? At that point, you're gonna realize that damn, the Lord was against me this whole time. They're not gonna understand that it's not okay to be white or an Edomite until the Lord starts hitting their ass with these plagues, man. Until the Lord comes back and put their ass in chains. That's when they're not gonna want to be white no more. So hey, he pretty much answered his own question. You know what I'm saying? And she pretty much told him, nah, you're through. If you're not an Israelite, you're through. You're finished. There's no hope for you. Let's continue.
Nah.
How about black?
Definitely that. That's it. It's all you could be. It's the coolest thing to be.
And that's all you're gonna want to be, because when the kingdom comes, the Israelites are gonna be on top and all the other nations are gonna be on the bottom. All right, but hey, Esau, there's a special judgment for E, man. All right, E is gonna be the least of all the nations. All right, it's gonna be no mercy for E. At least the Most High is gonna give the other nations some form of mercy, baby. But Esau, no mercy for E, man. You see? So hey, like she said, the best thing to be is an Israelite, is a Jake. You know what I'm saying? And hey, we know that a lot of our people are gonna get put to death on the side, but hey, the Lord died so that all Israel can be saved as it is written. So even those Israelites that do perish on the side, they're gonna come back in the kingdom in their right mind, and hey, they're gonna reap the benefits of being an Israelite in the kingdom. See, so that's the real difference, and that's the real power that we're going to receive once we get set back up into our rightful estate. But we just gotta suffer these things right now because we serving out our punishment. All right, which this guy right here doesn't even understand that. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this sister here watches the Israelites, because the spirit that she coming with, that's really the spirit that we're in. Let's continue.
You really, after that, you talking bottom of the barrel, really. Asian, that's probably worse than being white, ain't it?
I feel like it's okay, yeah.
Is it okay to be Asian?
Asian? Yeah. Of course, because I'm Asian.
A lot of people that we would speak to today would call what you're saying racist.
Yeah, I am racist.
Are you serious? Or
100%.
So you just don't like white people as a whole?
No.
It's just a matter of color.
And then you can't really blame her for saying that. You can't really blame her for saying that she don't like white people as a whole, because as she said in the beginning, y'all have just done too much evil, especially against the Israelites. So why would we love you? You see? Why would we love the so-called white man? Why? You still giving Jake hell to this very day. So the hate, or the resentment that she has towards Esau, that's the hate that hate produced. You see, if you would have done right, then people would love you. But when you do evil and wickedness and just practice, all manner of evil against a specific group of people, then why would you be surprised when their attitude towards you is hateful? Right now, we can get some precepts. All right, this is Psalms 36 and 2. It says, "For he flattereth himself in his own eyes." Okay, the white man always build himself up. Oh, we're the pinnacle of civilization. We have the best military. We have the strongest economy. We have the finest clothes. We pretty much run the planet Earth, right? White society is better. Even going into all this pseudoscience, trying to compare, the skull of a so-called white man to the skull of a Native American, and say, look, the white man's skull is larger, so therefore we're better. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes. You see, the white man exalts himself as the pinnacle of creation until his iniquity or his sin be found to be hateful. See, so right now within the earth, the white man's iniquity is being found to be hateful, and that's why people are speaking out against him. All right, even his own, even other Edomites are speaking out against Esau. See, the words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. All right, and that goes into all of his laws. Okay, still to this day within the Constitution, it says that the so-called Negro is 3/5 of a human being. You see, which that's iniquity and deceit. That's wickedness and lies, man. All right, and you wrote that into your Constitution to justify your evil against the Lord's chosen people, right? He has left off to be wise and to do good. So the so-called white man, he is left off to be wise and to do good. He devises mischief upon his bed. He sitteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. See, so the so-called white man, he does not hate evil. He promotes evil. He promotes wickedness, especially upon the children of Israel. Job 20 and 27, the heavens shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. So right now, the iniquity of the Edomite is being revealed. See, the iniquity of Esau is being put out there front and center. All right, and everyone has something to say about Esau. Why? Because he has done nothing but be treacherous. All right, he has done nothing but destroy the planet Earth. If the animals could speak, they would speak out against Esau. This man, destroying the oceans, destroying the air. You see, creating GMO foods, dumping chemicals straight into the ocean, dumping nuclear waste, blowing up nuclear bombs in the ocean, man. You see, so the whole creation is groaning because of the so-called white man. That's why it says the heavens shall reveal his iniquity. The heaven is going to reveal his sin. All right, the man of sin right now is being exposed to be none other than the wicked Esau Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed white man. Habakkuk 2:16 says, Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. See, so hey, now that shameful spewing, that talk of being against the so-called white man, that's that shameful spewing. The white man's history is not being exalted; it's being frowned upon. It's being scourged. Okay, people are talking down on the heritage of the so-called white man. Why? Because what is their history? It's nothing but rape, robbery, murder, and exploitation. And the thing is, you can say that, oh, well, the white man just conquered. See, he was just a better military strat. Nah, man, that's all BS because, hey, the white man rose up against those that were at peace with him. You see, the white man rose up against those that were not at war. Because when Esau came over to, the so-called New World, and the tribes were already here, he made peace treaties with them. And he agreed to the natives gave him some land and he agreed to stay in his little corner. But then what? Every treaty, he would break it, make war when Jake was at peace with Esau. See? Jake was at peace with Esau, man, and every time Esau come and then he break a treaty, then he make another one, then he break that one, then he make another one, and he break it. See, Esau made over 300 and some treaties with the Native Americans and kept not one. And you see, that's why it says that his iniquity shall be found to be hateful, because now people are tired of Esau's BS. All right? They're tired of it, man. That's why that shameful spewing is on them now.
Racist.
Yeah, I am racist.
Are you serious? Or
100%.
So you just don't like white people as a whole?
No.
It's just a matter of color, and color shouldn't come in the way of anything.
That seems pretty fair.
It is very fair, and that's how life is supposed to be.
You're white, obviously. What can you do to change that? Saying it's not okay to be white, what can you do to change that?
Fund the United Negro College Fund. Leave your inheritance to African American people.
And you can tell that this is one of those happy-go-lucky Edomites, man. You can just tell that the spirit that this Edomite is in, he's most likely a liberal. You know what I'm saying? So hey, he's just like, yeah, well, we have done evil to the so-called Negro, to the so-called Native American. We should leave our inheritance to them. Which I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean that at least shows that he has a repentant spirit on him. You know what I'm saying? Which again, he might not even be an Edomite, but he seems to have a repentant spirit to where he actually wants to do something to correct the wrong. But let's continue.
Like the beaches, give them back the property that was stolen from them, African Americans particularly, but yeah.
Are you yourself planning on giving your inheritance to African American people?
Do all sorts of that stuff already, yeah.
Why do you think some people are saying no?
All right, man, so we can end it right there. Hopefully this lesson was edifying through the Ruach Kadash. In the closing, call Allah, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Ruach Kadash. Till next time, Shalom to the elect.